Okay, let's do some analysis here. And I guess the idea behind analysis is try to find a good place to a trade location, as they would say, or find a how to read a price chart. Remember how to read a price chart, all that stuff, right? Well, so why do we have all these videos posted on YouTube about how to read a price chart, how to trade RSI, and all these things, right? I guess the idea there is that it's a good thing they're talking about. So it's designed to say, hey, when I show you how to read a price chart, that's going to make you a better and less losing trader. You're going to be a winning trader. And so if you've, like my friend Calvin here, if you've done 2 years of hard work and studied volume and market profile, and you've studied supply and demand zones, you're going to be and you know geometry, you're going to be a very good trader. And so you should be able to call the market too. Like say it's going up, it's going down. So I recently said that the Dow Jones was, I was going to sell there. But guess what? It kept going up. So this is a big problem with traders and people with big egos. Does anybody have any intelligence or a big ego out there? Raise your hand. I got my hand up. So I have a very big ego. And if somebody comments on me, I like to play a little, back and forth. By the way, this is a 100 pip grid, so we just figured how much money we have first before we attempt to analyze this for trading opportunities. So I have this guy that's saying that this buy low, sell high stuff doesn't work. It's a very superficial thing to say because that's the only way to make money in these markets. Only way. Now this guy, Calvin's been doing this for 2 years, and he's reached the fine state of being able to almost replace ICT now that he's off the map for a while with his precision 1 pip entries, because there's no fucking way this guy is going to get into an area and a bunch of tickets because he thinks that's what everyone's called martingale. He thinks scaling in's a bad idea. Well, I can tell you from the fact that it's going to only make sense to admit that you don't know where the fuck the market's going. And if you even know where it's going, you can't believe how far it's going to go. We can never believe, why doesn't this thing turn around? Why isn't it going the way that I thought it would go? Is it because we don't know where the market's going? Can you, after 2 years of studying supply and demand zones and market profile, be able to call the market better? Well, if that's true, then you're going to trade bigger. But what if you cannot see the future? And people say, yeah, I can see where the market's going. Sure, I can see these trades. Okay, well, we can all do that. And if I say, this is why I would never have a newsletter, I would never want somebody to follow my trading. Because even if I'm right, the day that I put on a trade that is, somebody asked me, how much margin are you using per day? The market's telling me how much margin you use per day. I'm not picking these numbers. You have to get out of the driver's seat on these markets. You never want to post shit like, I'm short 5 units of, I just went short 5 units of the dollar yen, like Calvin just did, and say he's adding the shorts. Now, this is the weekly dollar yen. Does anybody think that there's a possibility that his target of 110, is it? I'll even give him 110 as a target. Okay, 110 is the first logical target in this market. This is a 100 pip grid. Anybody see 102 on the radar here anytime soon? Honestly, anybody that's ever watched these markets, can you on God's green earth tell me that this thing isn't going to be ranging? If the markets are 80% range, now this is another thing I noticed about Calvin. He said for the past 2 years it hasn't been that easy trading. And I think what he's referring to is the fact he's a trend trader. And I think it's obvious. If anybody see what he wrote, or anybody that's ever tried to trade this thing from a trend standpoint. Now, we could say all day long that my moving average says I should only be on the short side. Where do I get on this fucking thing? Imagine the ultimate moving average that literally follows the market and adapts, and it's like, okay, buy. So now, any trend system right now is going to be chopped. Why is the market doing this shit? Because 80% of the market's doing this shit. Notice this, even on the way down, you're ranging on the way down. You're a range trader. That's why channel traders make money. They sell the top of the channel, and they're in a channel, but some people say channels are like this. I really don't think, I think that's a range. And Power Trading says this is a channel. I think a channel is a trend on a range. This is a trend on a range. So there's a bunch of great inflection points here where you've chosen the bracketing and you've chosen that area. So for all the fun I make about everything that's out there, the only reason I, supposedly mock and destroy people, I'm an iconoclast. So, I'm an iconoclast. There's no way around it. I'll never change. Tradition makes me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit because it has no logic connected to it. So if you're doing supply and demand zones, I think we can all see there's a million, just put it this way, there's a million supplies and demand zones above and below us, and what does that have to do with the price of tea in Japan if we don't have a trade plan that will not enable us to get into what we perceive to be a supply zone? And it is a supply zone in the sense that the market must have found supply and demand, and if that is the cause and effect for all these swings, is that it's satisfied, it comes back. It's satisfied, it comes back. In other words, you're out of stock, you're back in stock. We put money. If this market is fueled by people bidding and offering, it's an auction place. Somebody comes in with an antique, somebody goes out with cash. Somebody comes in, they buy stuff. They come, the prices change. I don't know if anybody watched the Antique Roadshow. So I'm watching the Antique Roadshow. I haven't seen it so long, and really the only point of watching that is the people in the background, right out of Walmart. But take a look at that show. They just did a thing. It's funny because I was telling people, if you're selling your stuff on eBay, you better get the fuck out of certain objects right now. So I noticed that they have a 10-year update now on the Antique Roadshow. It's 2017. They go back to, I think it's 2007. And so a guy comes in with his, here's like underwear from the 1800s or some shit. And the guy goes, well, that's George Washington's underwear. We got, I see his name's written on these. Okay. That used to be going for $1,000, and now it's going for $3,000. In 2017, they write it bottom of the screen. But then there's objects they bring in that people say, it used to be going for $3,000. Now, you owe us money for even owning this. That's how cheap it is. So that is the other side of the coin. And so things go in and out of favor. And supply and demand zones, really, now look at this chart. This is the most heavily traded of the yen pairs. Could it just be possible that if this is the weekly chart, that you got a lot of time to set your trade plans here? And what do you know about auction theory? And Kelvin would understand this because he's a market profilist, apparently. When you see a range, and how do you know it's a range? Because it's a range. How do you know it's a range? Wrong drawing tool. That was not a range. How do you know it's a range? It's a range. It's in a range. So Calvin's going to lose because he's trying to trend trade it. He's got targets. A trend trader target, let's just try to. Now, there's also some bullshit going around that everybody's looking at the same thing. Well, I'm looking at closing prices. See the precision of closing prices? Another thing, I don't think Kelvin's caught on to the closing price magic of closing prices yet. So let's do the Gartley-esque drill down. Now, I do this all the time. You still need a train plan for this shit. I do this all the time. This is the magic of momentum. This is the fractal. Anybody that's into the Gartley shit, this is for them. I know you're out there. Look at look at the inflection points here on closing prices. I'll point them out in the classical empowered trading way. This area, touch. This envelope is what I'm talking about. Closes right up in this envelope. Perfect touch. Now there's an envelope within the envelope within the envelope, just like there's a supply and demand within the supply and demand with the supply and demand. There's micro supply and demands. It's been proven there's fractals in nature. When people talk about supply and demand, I'm like, you know, the 1 minute chart, I can see the supply and demand there. Support when the market ranges, you can see it's feeding off supply and demand. Whatever you want to call this, you know, it's. I'm not in disagreement with reality. What is the cause and effect relationship? And are the big boys trading off of what I just wrote on the chart? Maybe. Maybe this just happens because go to Wolfram. In fact, I should bring up Wolfram right now and show you that random markets, you could draw these same channels on. I know it's hard to believe. You could take data from anything you could look at data from almost anything on the internet and it looks like the market. Because that data has fluctuations to it, right? I mean, it's just one of these things, right? So let's take a look at I think I fixed the scale on here. And if I copy this line in the same envelope it is over here, hold down the control key, hold down to this node, drag it over. Now you have Andrew's pitchfork. So look at the inflections here. I didn't drag it over precisely though. Wait a minute. Right here. Look at these touches. Climax and close. Not the wicks, climax and close right up there. Now, we're trying to break this envelope. Now, if you had drawn your, this is the biggest view of, this is 2 years back on the weekly. But what does that mean to the scalper right now? Not too much. In fact, I bought on scalps on this thing, on the demo, down here. This is this week today. Now, if you understand market profile, you would understand that there's a thing called the bulge, which is right here at these doji. See these two? A doji is actually market profile encapsulated in one candle. That's the pivot. We're above the pivot. This pivot goes back to here. Right, this is the floor taken out. This is where a top became a bottom kind of sloppily. As you go down a stairway. And why does support become resistance? Because a lot of these big players and a lot of people, retail people, everybody, there's not like the banks and this, no. Everybody in a combined uniform psyche realizes that this support here, they bought here, and it goes down here. Most people and most bookmakers are going to say, this is a 100 pip grid. It's down 300 pips. When it comes back to here, and hedge funds are not trading with the stops, they're offsetting. You can see there, and people that don't want to lose, people that trade without stops are like, holy shit. When it comes back to here, they get the fuck out. That's what causes, in my opinion, causes this. If not to be just Mother Nature making its way. Here's a doji entry. Somebody said, what do you mean after it goes down, put on a doji trade? Put on a breakout trade. After a big move, you know the trend's down. The last price pulse, it doesn't matter what is on the back side of this chart right now. And what does it matter to you right now in the dollar yen? Are you going to sell? Are you short here? Are you going to add? The only place to add to this short, if Calvin's listening, is after they rip your face off and it comes back to here, right? Or it comes back to this. So if Calvin's short, and mind you, he's taken supply and demand from 6 people. I wonder if they all agree on what the supply and demand zones are. They're going to say it's time frame dependent. One man's supply zone is another man's demand zone. One man's target for a sell is another man's entry for a buy. It should be right. In a perfect world, that way we're actually all agreeing. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I can see it's going down on the weekly. I'm not that retarded. I'm not stupid like everybody says. The question is, how long are you going to be in this trade? So there's no, I get this comment this morning from the desk of Calvin, and he says, he's short 5, and he's going to add, and he backtracks. I said, when it breaks this crazy price of I don't even know what the price was now. I got it on my system here, but that's inconsequential, right? It's got it here somewhere. Here, if it breaks 112, 743. So Calvin's saying once it breaks 112, 743. You can blindly sell. So have we broke 112, 743? I think so, right? So we can start blindly selling. Is everybody ready to start blindly selling? Because we broke it. Right? Am I getting the number right symbol up here? So that's 745. Is that close enough? So once we break that, right, we broke it. Okay, kids, it's time to blindly sell. Start blindly selling. It broke it. Could there be a problem here? This is the daily chart. Now, this is the thing. When you have this view, I don't have this view because I'm a scalper. I don't have this view of the market. And this is a very broad. And if I zoom out, let me go to Stapleton view. This is the total market. Oops. Oh, here's this 102. This is his target. Now here's a interesting thing. Another thing I don't think people understand the reason why they can make $1 million and lose $1 million is that, look at this baby. I've extensively done videos on this currency pair because these two triangles are historically laid into this thing in such a way that look at the dimensions of these two triangles. If you were just waiting for a break of that trend line alone, and you have this triangle, and the bears are waiting for it to break down, and the bulls are waiting. And look at this perfect flat bottom to this thing. Wow. Look at that perfect wedge. The longer this wedge is out, and this would be the Wyckoff cause and effect, the longer that triangle's out, the bigger the reaction. Now, this is the trade you want, right? Now, when you get back in, when you sell here, because you're coming up into uncharted waters, this is the unfair value. There's less supply here, I guess, or something. What do you want to call it? When it comes back here, and right in here on the weekly, do you have a trade plan to swing trade for 100 pips during this whole phase? So when somebody says to me that, the last 2 years have been tough in trading, maybe because they made $1 million here, they actually held through that pullback. And notice where we pull back to is the previous top. So you could have got in here. You also could have got in here. You would have been underwater. But the market, in a market this crazy and chaotic, is there any way on God's green earth? And notice this is this is the round power handle, so to speak. This is 100 even. So does it really look like this could make it? Does anybody think, how long do you think it's going to take to get to 102? And if you're short 5 units right now, oh my God, right? What the hell? How do you do that? Interesting. I don't know how that works. But, so now, what is the trend line it needs to break for that 102 to get hit? In a kind of classical technical hardline analysis, And let me go back to the messing around with these charts. So I'm not in a hurry today, and so yeah, if you don't like analysis, tune out. Because I'm just going to go off on like one of these magical mystery tours of Gartley-esque proportions. If I copy this over and keep copying that over and over again without looking at the chart, I'm not making any speculations other than the top fractals being my cadence rated change of this market. And let's just find inflection points for our magical mystery tour where we would say, oh yeah, could have got in there, could have, better than Fibonacci, because I'm actually just copying the market. The market has, if you think the market has a fractal. Now how amazing is this? Can anybody explain? I'm not saying I know why this is the way it is. But if anybody can tell me why this price, which is a key, we break out of the channel, we come back in, we find tops becomes bottoms on an angle. Tops becomes bottoms. I gotta get another cup of coffee. Top becomes a bottom on an angle. Beautifully. In fact, let me just do one more copy of that. The holy grail of trading is the fractal, right? The fractal of the channel. Let me make one more envelope here, because I'm on the weekly chart. There's plenty of time to get in these trades, right? I don't like the way that's at. It's a little bit off. Being a perfectionist is really a bitch, trust me. I used to be like Calvin. Calvin has to be a perfectionist because he knows geometry. Geometry is a perfect world. Isn't it now? Geometry is the perfect world. The straightest, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. That was one of the things. Actually, geometry is funny because the rules tell you how to draw the lines, and there's only geometry so locked in. There's literally no other choice. The parameters are so specific that everybody's going to have the same rectangle and the same square. The same equilateral triangle will be the same on everybody's paper. There is no ambiguity there. So we cling to perfection as part of you know, you have to have some reference for how it should be. Look at the inflection points on this. Can anybody tell me why this thing turns around at closing prices? Why do tops become bottoms? Why does the market turn here? Could I have thrown random lines in there and had that happen? Actually, I don't think so. Look at it turn around here. Look at it touch on close. Maybe I could put random lines in there. I could put more lines in, but you have to pick. Now, this is a 100 pip grid, so I almost have a 100 pip grid going this way, too. This is like almost 100 pips on an angle, so to speak. It's skewed. There's also, one time I talked about the skew index at the Chicago Board of Trade. It's a very interesting thing to look at. It's the way things are bent and skewed. So that all the data you see is skewed, like kind of distorted by other things tugging at it, so to speak. I'm just speculating, right? I don't know. Maybe there is a Forex God, and he's just looking down upon us all, going, "You've been a good trader today. You haven't done any trades without confirmation, so I will let the market go in your favor today." Okay, trading God. Thank you. So this is just really fascinating to me. I saw this. I did this years ago, and it was a phenomenon. So, like, if you're not into trading, but you're not into executing, but you're into like newsletters and stuff, this could be really valuable. Like, hey, we have a pivot here. Like, I don't know what you call it, the channel grid or something. But really is very fascinating to me how it literally is showing up on this thing. I don't know what it means. I could try random lines, but I don't think it would work. Because look at these perfect inflections. Can you see anywhere on here where we don't have a great fucking turnaround point? Now this is debatable. Now there's also, don't forget, there's the up story. The up fractal. So how do we find the up fractal? We find the two highest closing prices here. We build our fractal off of that, which is almost 45-degree angle to that. Amazingly, right? Let's see if I can delete that. I forgot, I'm using the channels. So let's hang this channel here. We'll use the same envelope rate. Let's take this down to this top here. We're going to cue it off of there, and we're going to cue and copy. Copy it over. And now you start to get it like a Gantt grid going. So, right in this moment right here, this is a reference for momentum up, momentum down. You're actually seeing in the future, like, so if bottoms become tops, this is a bottom becomes a top at an angle. And look at this. Here's your top, right? There's no tag here, so all this choppy stuff kind of invalidates your argument a little bit. But look, it comes up into this, comes bouncing off that, bounces off here, pulls back to this line, comes up in here. It doesn't quite hit any type of perfect line here. So just like anything else, you cannot sit there and say, even though this kind of magically lines up, you can't bet your life on this shit, because these are closing prices, which means this is the trend. This is the price over time. This top becomes this bottom here, but what about this? And if you think you can't make money on spikes in 1 week, if you're aware of the fact that there is a price vacuum here, and you can call it supply, it's all the same thing. There's only three things, right? Market goes sideways, market goes up, market goes down. When the market goes sideways, I just watched this. Somebody put a link to this high frequency trading, and this lady is so full of shit. She's talking about, well, right here is the dark pools are gathering in the stock, and it gap opened. Well, trust and believe, the market gapped open because of some. It's so sick. This person's making a living, and her dream is to take everybody to the New York Stock Exchange exchange and do a webinar there. It's so hysterical because what she's saying is so ridiculous. Like, you got to know what the high frequency traders are doing. And the market gapped open, and she's saying, well, the dark pools are gathering, and some guy said there's no dark pools, and she's saying there is. So I don't know. Maybe there's just a light pool out there. And she says, well, you know what you're going to do is, you can see where they get in. They're accumulating with high volume, and the market's not moving. Then, boom, it gapped open. This is stock market, mind you. Gap open. Well, overnight, anything could have happened. They announce something after the market closes, and she's attributing that the high-frequency traders have gathered all these positions. Well, what do you think made the market bid up? It's funny when people take the latest topic and build a whole career around bullshit about that topic. It's incredible. They're just full of shit. What they're saying is illogical on the face. But because it's from somebody that makes a living doing that, someone want to believe them. Like, I remember no money down real estate. I fell for that. No money down? Fuck, I'm broke. So I go to this thing, and it turns out it's a bunch of work. You got to call people up. You got to get knee pads. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? I said, I'm not going to come up to people and go, hey, can I have your house for free? Do you mind if we do a land contract? I'm like, I don't even know what a house is. I'm a trader. I don't know those things. So, oh my God. Another interesting thing here I noticed on this chart, well, if we go horizontal, Calvin said I didn't understand horizontal price levels either. So I think I'm going to try to dispute that here when I draw my horizontal price levels. So we have the trend here, so to speak, and kind of Gartley-esque. Notice this resistance point here. So in a classic perfect head and shoulders with a lot of chaos built around it, like, how do you survive I know the mind wants to see shoulder, right? This is the shoulder, this is the head, and this is the shoulder. And it's also a pivot through the middle. So we all see this head and shoulder built off closing prices, and it's also a perfect triangle. But how do you trade it? If your trade plan has a 25 to 50 pip stop and you're trying to somehow make money on this insanity, regardless of everything I've drawn on here so far, can you see how difficult it would be to actually trade this? Based on my magical closing prices is the true price at the end of the week. So no matter what happened to you, if you're going to tell me that you sold, like somebody could post, hey, I went short the dollar yen. When the week started, you look like a genius. By the end of the week, you're in where you, if you sold a breakout here, you're basically where you got in. You haven't made any money because you never got the fuck out. And the person that makes a call on that market or posts a newsletter said, sell the yen. If you didn't get out where they got out, 300 pip target or 200 pip target on that, you could have made 200 pips on that. And God knows what's going on inside that weekly wick. But, and you could say, well, look, I called the market. But who's the guy that stepped in here and had an order sitting here at the $100 line? And like this would be considered a martingale entry, right? I bought here and I bought here and I have a stop down here. And I'm going to get out here. Okay. What's the trade plan? What is the best trade plan on the planet for this wick? If this is the targets for this guy, I should be buying his targets off of him. So why the disagreement? Why do people go into chat rooms and fight about, dude, you said it's going up. Dude, you said it's going down. Now, if I'm in $40 million position, which I was trading in the demo, testing out this buy one standard lot at the market with a specific kind of stop thing, and just kind of pulling the trigger when the 5-minute chart was down. Just testing it out, right? Don't want to trade $40 million with real money until you trade it on a demo. Just saying. Right. I mean, you're into $8,000 a margin. You're just going, whoa, you know, it's crazy. So this is also another trading skill is the ability to go through a drawdown, whether it's $1 or $100. Being down $10 in a trade can be really upsetting. If you don't accept the fact that it's going to cost you something to scale into something, and if you don't scale into it, then you're going to be down bigger if you pick the wrong entry price. So on this thing, and especially if you sold here and you got out and you took 100 pips run and you said, God, I could have left some on the table and taken scaled out. So ultimately you would scale in and scale out. It's better to scale in and do a clean dump than it is to buy a big fat position and scale out, right? Because if you buy $40 million at the market, then what you have to do is take off at least 2 to 3 million when it moves 5 pips, but then you're sitting in this huge risk situation where you'd have to manage that with stops. I mean, if you have a master stop at that point. So people say, hey, you put a master stop on that. I just don't understand. Kelvin says he's good at geometry, but I don't think he's good at math. If you buy here, buy here, buy here, and buy here with a master stop, and you buy 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, right? And you're in pretty big, right? I think you're in 5 million and 6 million in the end there. $6 million. I just don't see why people would want to risk that much money, because if you bought, if you're trying to buy this area, unless you scale into that, what would be the ultimate thing is what to wait for the price to come to here and buy all 6K here. What if we never get down there? And what if that one ticket is 1 pip off. Are you really going to tell me that your entry is so good that you will never be underwater on a trade? This is the thing I ran into with the T-note trader when he said, I'm never underwater on a trade. These are just ridiculous things to say. If you're trading, you're losing. You just paid commissions or the spread. Anybody that trades is a loser. You just have to accept it up front. It's how much are you losing. Are you going to lose much money or a little bit? So if you look at this thing, you have the, you want to buy, it's like, say, just on this one point here, somebody's going to sell, and they're going to look, oh, money I made, blah, blah, blah. But wow, when you get into this liquidity area here, isn't that the place to really go, wow, that's an interesting place. Look how it's the feeding zone back here. Is this the supply or demand zone? And here, once again, this whole area here, the market's feeding off that. Look at this fucking winner. If you bought here and you dumped back into the floor, or you held some and it went full auction and engulfed the whole week, good God. Look at that trade. Look at the feeding off of the feeding frenzy here. Even when we came down here, look at this run. All the way back to the gate. So having said that, and kind of taking a look into what is the market capable of, and if 80% of the market is sideways chop, how we make any, should we be range traders or should we be market callers? Or you could call, I guess, a range, right? You could be like, oh, I think it's going to go back to I think it's going to range. I think it's like trading modalities, isn't it? Like, now, up here, if you put this trade on here, at the shoulder, my question is, how long did you hold that? Here you're down 1,000 pips. And where would your target be? Well, the logical target would be when it comes back to here. People are going to get out. The range traders have sold here at the doji, and they're going to get out here. Isn't that what a person would? And they would buy here again, thinking, can we play the range game? So somebody said that they were range trading it. People that like to range trade get clobbered when the market goes like this, and they try to range trade that. So we come down to here at 1,300 even, and we get a slight bounce. First, really bounce on the weekly. Of course, let's drill down to the daily to take our entries, of course, right? There's no top become bottom on this weekly. It's literally shearing down. Just like this shear up, like distribution, shear down, mark down. So let's go down further into where we would think that our target, if we were sold way up here like a genius. So we sold up here. Our target, our ultimate target would be to cash out where there's previous support. So did anybody do that? Did anybody try to buy that top bottom and get crushed by 200 pips? I'm sure they did. Does this price really matter, or is just happenstance that we came to here? Would it be better to buy every 100 pips? If you're a major position swing trader, is it better to take and buy 1K every 100 pips? So you're down $10, $30. I don't understand where Calvin's coming from. He said he's short 5 units of, I don't know what 5 is. Is it 5 standard lots? Is it $5 million? How short is he? Okay, that speaks to how successful a trader is. And when you say loser, do you mean money or do you mean pips? Because I can lose pips all day. I could lose nano pips all day. He also makes fun of nano accounts. My nano account makes just as much money as my micro account. My nano account runs all the psycho scripts. So that's a good account to have as a nano account, because you can trade all sorts of interesting creative things with real money and make money while experimenting with a little bit of money, with not too much money. So he also criticized that noobs are watching mine. There's 5 nano brokers that I know of. And why do people say, well, I mean, this how big you're trading? That's why people are these Ricky and Ricky Ricardo and Calvin Klein are saying, what is your real counts? Because they're saying they're afraid to trade really big, and they're saying it's hard to trade really big positions. Let's see you do it. Let's see it with real money. Well, I don't. It's already told. I never trade bigger than a 1K on any one ticket, and I can get into a 200K very easily with my so-called dollar cost averaging, I think they call it, as opposed to, I don't know, martingale is very aggressive apparently. It's a dirty word in the Forex in the trading world. And had I sold up here, instead of getting out here, could I have justified an exit here and say, well, you know, this is the bottom of the channel. I could have said, this is the channel. I'm going to get out here. They're all good places to get out. And can I double up and go short here? Because look, it broke out of the channel, pulled back, and we're still in a downtrend. Sure. But, you know, really, where's your stop? How big are you in on? If you're trading 1Ks in this, I got it, man. We can all trade 1Ks on that because we can probably stand to lose $30 to $50 a week. So if you're trying to hit it big in these markets, because you see a giant move in this is just the dollar yen. We can all look at this weekly chart and go, man, if I could just catch one of these fucking moves. Like, look at this shit down here. What in the fuck's going on down here, people? We break out of the channel, sellers come in and back up into the channel. You can only imagine if I drew that channel, you'd see all those other inflection points, right? You see a perfect shoulder, head, shoulder in closing prices, not in wicks. Wicks are bullshit. Fuck this wick shit. That's for the market makers. That's for the limit orders. That's for you're gonna buy those wicks. You have pendings there. You're going to sell up. You're going to sell up into here. Now that's the weekly. You're going to sell here. You're going to sell here, and you can't see it on there. And you're going to get stopped out of those trades. This vacuum's filling. You going to stand in front of that? This is the problem. There is no. You can't say, we're going to range trade and range trading and always range trade. You will get stopped out of this trade if you try to sell into this vacuum. You'll get stopped out of that. You need 3 trade plans. You need a go with the flow trade plan, which means I don't know where the fucking market's going, so I'm going to bracket it with a buy and sell stop, or if you think you know where the market's going, you're going to do a goober stop entry confirmation, and you just have sell stops. Sell stops, you ride that down. You don't want to pick this entry and get out here. You're not a market caller. There's 3 kinds of people. I figure, right? There's the kinesthetic person. It's old Tony Robbins trick. Feeling person, kinesthetic. Visual person, and auditory person. So I know some people, you know, they type, They type stuff. So that may be kinesthetic. Actually typing things and writing books is kinesthetic, I guess. In a way. And I guess visual would be pattern recognition. And sound is like, I listen to the news, I listen to the tone of voice, I listen to what somebody says. If somebody says grab them by the pussy, I'm like, well, how did they say that? What was their inflection? Were they joking, or were they like, no, that's what I do for a living, is grab them by the pussy? So, I'm a gigolo, right? Just a gigolo. So that is the thing. And so everybody's trying to make money, but we have to find out what kind of person are we. Can we hold the trade for a year and make 2,000 pips? I can't, because when in this phase right here, because I'm going to be honest with myself. The honesty comes from the fact that if I'm short and the market comes to here and I don't get out and it comes back to here, I'm like, I could have just range traded that. But this you have to know is always on the possibility list. So thinking in probabilities is the ultimate. That's what Mark Douglas is about, thinking in probabilities. And what's likely to happen? How many times do you think we're going to see a move like that? We're in this is the weekly, look at this move back here. Another complete bone crusher up. Bone crush up, triangle. Bone crush up, triangle. Isn't this classic analysis? Here's the supply zone or demand zone or support thing. What do we do now? Has the market calmed down into your classic ranges? How many percentages of all the moves on this chart? How much is chop and how much is a run? Let's count the runs. And let's just put let's put an estimation on, we'll just say from here to here is a monster run. This is utter bullshit. This is a nice monster run. This is a monster. This is a choppy monster. We range trade, we range trade, range trade. Range trading, you're range trading this, right? This is all range trade from here to here. So if this is all the range trading on this chart, let's do like a moving average does, we'll just average it out. Range, 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 range. We have trend, 1 trend, 2 trend, 3 trend, and 4 trend on weekly chart. Why are trend traders getting their why are they getting crushed? 3 years ago, the markets were going like this. Every market was screaming in one direction or another. The euro was going down. This is why Calvin says, it's not like the last 2 years have been pretty tough. Yeah. Are you trend trading this shit? This was good if you knew how to trend trade a jagged channel. Like, let's just, what moving averages do? Let's smooth out the data a little bit. Now let's focus on the price, where the price hasn't been. Let's take the noise out. Right? Let's just fuck these 2 triangles. It's a big sideways, right? Here's your trend. So now what does it look like? Well, if this is a pullback, and this is weekly analysis, by the way, if you just tuned in, you could go either way out of here. Is it going to go like this? I saw some guy chart in this trading view. It was like, he's like making a call like this. So we're calling for 102, mind you, and beyond. 110 to 102. We're going like this, right? But what if we're not? What if market profile says, what if we are doing this? This is, oops, that's not going to work. I'll start over with my blocking out the noise. How to delete noise on your chart. Looks like this. Delete the noise. So, and this, we don't even want to think about what's going on up here. We just want to treat this as a whole trading block for a year, 1 year, up in the air. Then we come down to the supply zone again. Let's just average this out. Is this not fair value to this whole range here? The range, the fractal within the fractal. Are we not at fair value? And is the trend up? Vaguely. Vaguely up. So I'm not saying that it can't make it to... How is it going to get there, too? Is it going to go like this? He said you could sell blindly. We've crossed below his signal line. We are now below Calvin's signal line. It's time to put on your blinders, people. Okay? Time to put on your blinders. Calvin calls the yen. Once it breaks 112. Right? I'm just taking this from the desk of Calvin Klein. Once we break that, put on your blinders. It's time to sell. Right? Time to just sell blindly. Are you ready? Anybody ready to blindly sell? You got your finger on the trigger? So, he didn't say you can blindly sell. He's updated his call. So, let's take a look at this. Okay, we've broken 112,743. Everybody got that etched in their mind, that precise number? We've broken it on the weekly dollar yen. So everybody saddle up for market orders. Start selling on the open tomorrow. If you've missed this trade, it's not too late to get in, according to him. He's going to add to this position now. So he's short 5. We broke 12,743, and it's time to put and blindly sell to 110. So everybody be prepared to make 270 pips. And then if you have the balls, hold on, and more to 102. That's trading. That's entertainment. So 102 is down here somewhere. My trusty price grid. Round numbers. 102. Right down here. Right there. 102. So how long do you think it's going to take to get there is what I'm wondering. Can we get there next week? Can we get there in a month? Can we get there in 6 months? Maybe. Maybe in 6 months he'll be right. In the meantime, he's short 5. What do we do? Is this a joke? Is this guy kidding? Is this ICT disciple sent to me? Look at this weekly. I wonder if any buyers are going to come in down here at this 110. Any buyers going to come in here at the stop hunt? Are we even going to be able to stop this guy out who's trend trading this? Does this look like an uptrend to anybody? Possibly. If I put the envelope here, would anybody be willing to buy? And this is like a nice setup, actually, but we're going to place the orders before the setup. So we would place our buy limits at fair value, the top of that doji, which is the top of this doji. These two dojis created this zigzag. Would anybody be willing to buy the dollar yen if it went on sale from this beautiful run-up? And what I can't understand is why he's not bragging that he sold up here where the stop hunt was for the bears. Why is Kelvin not bragging about this stop hunt entry? This is pure auction, and market profile is based on auction theory, but he was too busy from the 6 guys showing him how to trade supply and demand. It's just hilarious when somebody comes yelling at you and insulting you on your YouTube channel, comes back and says, I'm never going to watch any. I hope he's not watching this, right? Because I don't hurt his feelings. Look at the top, bottom here. Look at bottom becomes the top right in this area. This is why if you sold up in here, wouldn't you want to be the guy that could martingale sell limit, sell limit, sell limit, sell limit, sell limits that don't fill? Because we don't want to blow up our account. We want to. Also, when we're up here, we could sell at the market bravely if we have a chance to catch that entry. He doesn't say how he gets in these trades. I'm thinking at the market, right? Because he wouldn't use a limit order. That would be martingale. So he didn't put sell limits up here. I guarantee you he did not enter on sell limits up there. He should have. This martingale thing is just, it's hilarious. Like, that's an evil word. I don't get it. What happened? To him, it's evil. To a lot of people, apparently, I've had a lot of comments. You're just trading martingale. No, I'm actually trading on stops in at the market. That's how I made all that money in that demo. I just traded at the market without stops, right? Until I was wrong. So can we accept being wrong? Do we have a trade plan for being wrong? Now, Bill Williams does. Bill Williams has a stop and reverse. Like, if he bought here on this, if he's, say he bought here, he puts a stop here to go short, he gets stopped out and he doubles up and goes short. I can't do that. Because I just say, you know what, let him stop me out. Or I'd like to say, hopefully I had the brains to do that trade here. Of course, this is the weekly. If you put a buy stop here to get long and you get filled and you come back and put a stop here, you got stopped out. If you wait for the ATRs to get small and you bracket this with stops, stop orders are for small bars, see? If you put a small bar, inside bar, this is where Akil Stokes was trading, but then something went terribly wrong. He got in too big. But this is inside bar trading. There's the only signal on this whole chart just from pure bar action. That trade works because you know you have a lower risk and the reward is bigger. That is mechanical trading. Low candles, you fill on one leg, right? You fill on one leg and you never fill on the top side. Sell stop, buy stop. That's the appropriate use, in my opinion, whether this is a 5-minute chart or a weekly chart, of a stop entry. You can't put stop entries on big candles. Buy stop? Okay, you're right, but you're risking this much to make this much. You have to understand this vacuum. Not all vacuums are created equal. Mini vacuum up there. That's where your sell limits are coming in. If you think it's going down, the best place to sell is up here, and hopefully a scaled entry, like a professional trader, like a winning trader. Mark Douglas scales in. He's dead, but he used to scale in. And, you know, buy limits coming in here. This is your market maker entry. You would be having buy limits next week all down in here. I will. Now, how big do I get in? How do I space these? I have no other choice. The market's telling me that it's going up, but I've pulled back and it just went on sale. It trapped all the bulls on that breakout. And this is a very quick pullback, too. Could it go like this, go sideways and keep tumbling down? We hope so, actually. So we hope to get this price, but if we don't get that price, buyers will come in maybe right about here. We don't know when this is going to climax. If you know when this is going to climax, please email me. Like if you knew when this exact pip stop, that means you have to trade $40 million here. Wouldn't you rather sell 10 million, 10 million, and start putting the orders closer like I did on logarithmic scripts? It sells 10 million here, 10 million, now it sells 10 million, now it sells 10 million, then it sells 10 million right here, right? I'm trying to emulate this climax. We sell here, and we really sell martingale harder than actually have our martingales all the way to here, and we did not get filled. This is the art of trade. It's all about order placement, trade location. And what is that going to be, a scalp? Is there a scalp built into my sell up here? If I sell $40 million of currency here, and now these are underwater, mind you, right? There has to be a scalp built into that as it pulls back off the top. Because after that happens, I'm going to put sell limits up here again because there could be a retest. If you sold this and you look like a genius because it made it to here, during this session we revisited this price, you would sell here again. Trading is very difficult from the standpoint that the dynamics of these moves keep changing over time. But we know on the weekly, what we do know about looking just at this weekly right here and now, is that if you sold this, the sellers are saying, should we take profits? When they start to take profits, they will fuel the market to go up. It's just natural, right? People say, you know what? That was a good counter trend trade. We made some money, just like this was a good counter trend trade. But at some point, they're going to say, should we stop and reverse? Is this vacuum been going on too long? And maybe Kelvin's right. We're going to go down here and we're just going to keep plugging away. But what if we don't? And he has no targets. He has no stops. He's not trading with stops and targets because he didn't say what they were. A lot of people are going to get out here. Should we be getting in when he's getting out? Is he greedy? Is he really going to think we're going to go to 110? And then, don't forget, kids, 102 is down here. Right? It's down, way down. 80 pips down? So, how many pips is that? Was that like... I do believe that's... Wait a second. These are outlandish targets, I guess. So yeah, what do you think? Anybody ready to sign up with Calvin's service? I don't know, man. Kind of iffy. 800 pip target. So after you could probably add to your position blindly at this point, kids. Jump aboard. I'd be very scared to sell. I would wait. If you're really going to do this trade, if Calvin really wants to do this trade, I would recommend he waits until it rallies to here and sell at 113. Right where the head and shoulders is on the daily. In fact, he probably wants to put a sell limit here. If you want to sell this, isn't the better price above you? But if it comes back there, people are going to shit their pants and go, oh no, it's going up. I got to get long. And this is where you get whipsawed, right? So where people go, oh man, geez, I guess it is going up. So the classic person that's trying to, that's upset, they see this and they go, it's going down, I should be a seller. They jump on here, and when it comes back here, they go, oh damn, I'm going to buy it. Looks like it's going up, and they get whipsawed. And this goes, you know, they're like, buy, sell, but the range trader says, I love that noise. I make money from that. So let me jump out to all the other currency pairs that are yen-based. Can I get a clue from all the other currency pairs on the weekly? What is going on here on the this one currency pair here? And is the yen going to go lower against the dollar and all other currencies? Is the yen in trouble? Is the yen about to get hammered across all currency pairs? Does anybody have the same type of setup going on right now on the weekly? Has anybody sold the Swiss to the yen? Anybody selling the CAD to the yen? This looks like a good sell right up on resistance. But here's a word of warning. If we should cross into this vacuum, forget about it. We just tipped into the pool of a 300 pip vacuum. Actually, the vacuum goes on for quite some time here, obviously, right? It goes way up into here. So, in this thing, you could take clues from the top-bottom theory here. Here's your head and shoulders down here. Here's the accumulation phase. I'll do another block out and just treat this as a whole trade block here. We big trend, if you call it, right? Go up within a 1 pip window, tag that, walk down into this cluster. Now, is it time to sell here? If the dollar to the yen is going to 110 and beyond to 102, wouldn't you say, well, we should sell here and ride this back to here, or even to fair value, which is here, right? Wouldn't that be the logical thing? The Swiss to the yen. Is the yen getting clobbered by the Swiss franc? If you're short, we just filled this vacuum. Now, can we come back here and this would be a disempowered trading video here at this point. Can we come back here? I can already see Akil Stokes saying, well, you know what, tops become bottom, so we're going to buy a limit here and we're going to wait for it to come back here and see what happens. What if this is the stop hunt and this is it and we just come to here and then we keep going up? What if that happens? You missed an opportunity. What if you buy everything? Here's a strategy. I'm going to do, now this is the demo. I'm at about $27,000. the rest of this demo for this week, I'll be trading the yen with limit orders, and I'm going to, oh, Christ, I just hit a zoom key or something. I'm going to trade this, this new software is killing me. We'll trade it with limit orders. We'll trade at the market very lightly. Well, this is we're going to go to the daily when we place trades, though. So was this the stop hunt? Is this a breakout to a breakdown? Is this in an uptrend? Is the yen in trouble? So I'm going to trade these 6 pairs, placing orders on the weekly. Actually, I'm not going to go to the. I'm not going to go to a different time frame. We don't have to, because we're not. This not going to get a lot of fills here either. So I expect that to go into that vacuum, and it's not like it can't pull back, and it's not like we won't be putting martingales in to buy. How about the guppy? Is the guppy about to tip the scales into the void? Is this possibly going to be a huge hole to fill, not in a straight line? Is this even possible? Do you think the dollar, the yen, do you think the yen can go against all this pressure on the dollar-yen pair? This is going to be very interesting to see what happens, how this void could possibly be filled. We can speculate. The range traders are going to sell here. The conservative target is to come back to fair value anywhere in here, because it doesn't matter. If those are 1Ks that you have at the 100 pip handles, it doesn't fucking matter, man. It's how big you get into these trades. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if you make the right call. Here's a nice trapped under fair value entry. If you see that on an hourly chart, if you see that on a 4-hour chart, and this is 20 hours of price, buy this like there's no tomorrow. That is a trap. Yeah, and all traps right there. Top become bottom. Albeit sloppy, but that's a top become a bottom. Wedge, breakout, the big run. That's the weekly chart. We can scalp on the weekly chart too. Because it's not going to matter whether we're on the 5-minute. If I have buy limits sitting peppered all the way down here, and I'm a swing trading, really. Same scalping, but same thing. Swing trade, trade. I'm trying to make money. So let's take a look at the Australian versus the yen. Can anybody see a possible void filling on this? Could this even be an issue, this vacuum? What's going to happen with the yen? So it might be time to fade Kelvin for the swings. I don't know what Kelvin's time frame is. He might have already cashed out at the end of the day. He doesn't say. He says he hasn't time for this intraday shit. I guess he's a big swing trader now. Position trader, swing trader. Intermediate time frame. Here's the trap trade. Here's the, I think it was called, called Turtle Soup. I got it from one of the inside inner circlers told me that, I think this is Turtle Soup down here, but it looks like matzo ball to me. I'm not sure. It's actually like a beef and barley. Typically when I trade for lunch. Now, that's the accumulation underneath in the auction theory. Now, this is going into crazy stuff here. And this is a vacuum that is literally perfectly 1 year wide. That's 1 year. Not to mention all the way to here. All sorts of uncharted water, so to speak. Just zoom out one notch, and you're like, oh boy, we got a situation. Remember this situation? Remember this void? Where the market hasn't been. It's a huge deal. Look at the Australian yen. These things are, you can really get a good clue what the yen's going to do. I'm not saying buy here because it could pull back 100 pips, but that's the thing. I mean, now what do you do about all this speculation? Here's another vacuum that filled. Wow. Damn. But when is it done filling? Look at how this climaxed into this. This is support right to the wick. If this is a 5-minute chart, right? This is supply. This is a 100 pip wick window. If you chop off closing prices to the wicks, this is a 200 pip wick window down here. Would you want to have 3 pendings of $5 million per pending, or would you have 1 pending at the very bottom and not have any flexibility in the way you manage your account? The reason why you want to scale in is because you can manage your risk management. If you're going to trade big, and apparently Kelvin's not trading big enough for it to fucking matter, because who's short 5 units? He doesn't say how big those tickets are. At least he's short 5 units. He has the flexibility to get out of 1 unit, right? But he's going to add on the way down. And I don't know if he has separate stops in each. He did not say. So at least he's in 5 units. We'll give him that. He's not so dumb that he's going to trade 1 ticket. So apparently he's accepted the fact that he doesn't know. Or maybe he's 5 units on 1 ticket. I don't even know. He did not say. We do not know. And are we doing... I would never do a trade like that where I'd get in... If I was swing trading, I would never get in too big on 1 ticket. It's just laziness, I think. I spoke to a guy that said, well, I understand it. Nobody wants to sit there and trade to make $1. Sit in front of the screen and make $1. They want to make it big, want to hit the big time. Look at this perfect top bottom. Australia yen. Easy to see market structures here. Very easy. Triple bottom becomes a top, becomes a bottom, becomes a top, becomes a... So do we go here and go back? Or is it going to be this? Are we cutting through the void? Are we cutting through the void? Australian yen. Australian yen. Let's see. Last one up for grabs is the euro yen. Good old euro yen. Euro yen, the cat's out of the bag. People that traded this, we filled this void. Now, do we pull back to the starting gate? I'd say yeah. So if you had to sell something, if you are bearish and depressed like Kelvin, then you may be short here because you just got the stop hunt into here. You sold. If you started selling up here and you had sell limits up here, now this is where you're underwater on this trade. On the daily, like if you sold new highs here, this is why I think the yen is going down and the dollar yen should go up. I think if you look at all these yen pairs, can anybody make the argument that it's time to sell? Okay, for a scalp, but in the big picture, could this be in an uptrend? Could we sell into this trend line maybe? But we've pulled back. We have a top bottom on the daily at the 100 pip handle right here. Perfect top bottom. So you got to figure that the people that sold here, they're going to buy back here going, you know what? I'm getting my ass kicked. The trend traders are going to jump on that perfect setup. Top becoming bottom on the daily. We can trust the daily top bottoms. The attempt to scalp on a 5-minute top bottom, you're going to lose your mind. Right? So I spent 10 hours talking to a trader, live trading, and he was asking me all these questions, but they were all based on, well, is there a high probability when this they're all scenario probabilities. There is no high probability trade other than the fact that I told him that if we go sideways too long, we're going to break either way. And it will be a violent move. It'll be a big move. The longer the market goes sideways, the bigger the move. The longer the triangle forms, the bigger the move. The other thing we know, high probability, is when the market really starts moving big, we have to adjust our trade plan to trade wider limits. So if you were selling this market in scaled in martingales, your sell limits would be up here all next week to capture this trade. Just like your buy limits would have been peppered here to catch this. And these orders never filled. And this top bottom never got you in to the euro yen. Are you able to trade this trend? This is a beautiful trend. This is no trend. So let's do the 80-20 rule. 80% bullshit, 20% trend, 20% trend, 80% bullshit. And even this is not the greatest thing in the world. More bullshit to come. So, sure, you can be right for 100 pips here, this thing. Buy limits are here. Do you have the patience? How long is it going to take to get to here? And who's hurting? Another thing, being right and wrong. At what point do you say, you know what, I'm going to go with this downtrend? As soon as it rallies into the previous support, I'm going to sell here on limits, or I'm going to sell at the market. Here you have no chance to board this train. Would it have been wise to place a buy limit here, a buy limit here, and a buy limit here, and a buy limit here, if you're a swing trader? Was that a good choice? With a stop down here? I bought 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, 40 million. My 50 million ticket did not fill. This is my total risk trade plan. I'm scaling in because I don't know how long this is going to go down. I'm short into it. I'm shorting. I got sell stops running. I'm not just trading. Kelvin doesn't understand. I'm trading stops, market, and martingale. I'm focusing on the limits because that's the hardest thing to... everything's running in conjunction. You're running all that shit together. Sell stops on every... These are just mechanical entries. Sell stops, every low ATR, sell stop, buy stop. You're making money into this. You're cashing out here, and you're starting to go long. How long do you think this trend's going to go? You can go like that? It's going to go like that in your hopes and dreams. It's going to go like that. You got to wonder, once this vacuum starts to fill, is it over for you? Your target, if you loaded the wagon on this move, is to get out here. It's only logical. Then it starts selling up into this for a possible crush back. But look at how the top becomes a bottom. And look how unvolatile this move is. Range traders dream up here. But the range range traders dream in a micro level here. Look at this subtle accumulation phase, top become bottom. Could we be right here on the dollar yen? In other words, this is the middle of fair value. We've been here, we've been there, and we've made a move back. We sideways, we flagged out, whatever you want to call it. We turtle souped, right? We clam chowdered into this thing. And we're also touching this perfect trend line that we drew on the daily. Are people trading off that trend line? Maybe they are. Maybe it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe it just happens to be the markets. People are like, you know what? Trend lines on close are better. If you're ever going to do moving averages, just throw them out the window. People use moving averages because they're lazy. It's the first EA ever invented. Talk about lazy. Look at how beautiful. There's a website called, I'm not crazy about half the shit out there. I mean, everybody's right about something. It's called The Hard Right Edge. But he draws them on Wix, which I just don't agree with. So I'm disagreeable. That's me. I'm disagreeable. I'm open, but I'm disagreeable. At least according to Jordan Peterson, which I watch a lot of Jordan Peterson, so I've come to the conclusion that that's who I am. Disagreeable, creative, open. So, and apparently disgraceful to the whole market community, trading community. How dare you? How dare you talk about martingale? Not while I'm on watch. Not on my watch, buddy. Look at this perfect touch. Look how the wick's bullshit. Let me copy that. I'll go the extra inch. Let me copy that. There's the envelope. All right. Once again, channel's not been touched yet. Here's the only argument we can make for buying there. Are we forcing this trade? Could it actually come down here and stop hunt everybody here and then go up? Yes. And then you could say, see, I was right. Like you could come later on and tell me, oh, I had my stop 300 pips deep. Oh, fuck, I'm in that trade. How wide is your stop is not the question, Calvin. It's how big is your position in relation to your stop. How much are you risking dollar-wise? We need to give him 50K for him to tell us the secrets, because he's going to fucking lose 30K on his entries, and his stop outs, and his speculations. You can learn a lot from a newbie. You really can. So thanks for the education. If this is fair value on dollar yen, are we pulling back to fair value to fill that void? Or is the dollar yen going to be the one currency on all these yen pairs to go down now? When they're all going up, I think a child could, like if you said to somebody, take a child and ask them, put them in front of the weekly charts, ask them which direction is the yellow line going? Which direction? Is it near resistance? Is it a sell? In fact, on this, let's close out this video. I won't torture you anymore. Let's look at this video. I mean, let's objectively do an aerial view of the weekly. And I see this guy do the weekly thing. I just want to jump out a window. Hi, I'm Sawreal from the weekly long route. We'll take a look at the. I'm afraid to make fun of people now because of the. I should do a video making fun of him. It's just ridiculous. Like, we all know that we need to buy low and sell high. Look at this guppy. Holy shit. Who's the first one to cut loose and go north? Let's try to make a call. Who's on the edge of, and have you ever bought? I'm a buyer. I'm always a buyer, right? So when the market's at the bottom of the, I remember before I understood I could fix the scale, and he's like, the market's literally up against the top panel of the chart. And you're kind of thinking, oh boy, I can only see this. So let me zoom out. Holy shit. This could go, like, as soon as you go like this change your whole view of the world. Now you ask your 5-year-old, which ways, this thing's going up so hard. I just zoomed out. You want to sell that yen? You're going to sell the yen. I'm sorry. You are selling the yen. In other words, you're going to sell the dollar and buy the yen. You think the yen is not in trouble? Why isn't he selling all these pairs if he thinks the yen's going up? In other words, the raw yen is going up for the dollar to go down against the yen. The yen has to be right. So he's going to sell the dollar because the yen is going to kill it. Dollar's going to lose to the yen. But so maybe I got this upside down, but you see what I'm saying. When I say the yen's going up, I really mean the yen's going down, right? Everything here is against the yen. So the yen's going to get killed, but he's saying the dollar's going to get killed. So you make the call. I think when I look at stuff like this, I think to myself, well, if I was short, I would hold. If I was long, I would hold on to see what happens here. But we would always go down to the 4-hour chart and just try to scalp. I know myself well enough to know that I'm not going to sit and try to, like I see Swiss to the yen. You kind of want to buy this one The only thing on sale on here is the dollar to the yen and the Swiss to the yen. If you want to buy, because the pound and the Australian are short. These are already overbought, and so are these guys on the 4-hour time frame. So if we zoom in one level, if you're looking for an entry on the 4-hour, if you have a day job, you're just going to place limits on the dollar yen, or you just went long because you think this is a trap, a bear trap. And I think they've trapped one bear here too. You should be short that. They're going to keep melting down. So when you go to the 4-hour, and now you're looking at the weekly, saying, you know, this could be a pullback on the weekly. Should I be buying here? But when you look at the 4-hour, you're gonna change your whole mind about that trade. Oh, I should be looking to sell, but are we trapping people here? Is this an auction? Should we be buying here? Should we have been long on this wick? Did you have a buy limit here and a buy limit here that didn't fill? On the 1-hour, did you buy? Did you scalp to here? The sellers are coming in. What if the sellers can't hold this under this? Under this? What if we reject this bottom? This should become a top in a down stairway. Could you have taken this 1-hour chart and made a ton of money trading the channel? Yes. Every time it comes up here, you sell. But really, how did you get in? Stop limit market? Did you every 4 hours, every hour it's up, you sell? Okay, faithfully sell. It's the hardest thing you're ever going to do. It's in a downtrend. You sell, you sell, you sell. You stop selling. You take profits. You buy back, you buy back, you buy back. You sell. You sell when it's going up. You buy when it's going down. What's going to happen here? Are we going to fizzle out? Is there one more? Can I put a buy limit here and pick up on something? Put a grid down here, micro lots, pick up make some money here. Are we going to go for the big fish? Are we going to sell everything here and say, nope, it's going down the channel? Or do we buy here and go, you know what? I think this vacuum's going to fill. Which vacuum's going to fill? This one? This one? This one filled. Is this a big vacuum right now? Well, we're going to see. So yeah, let's see how this plays out. Right? We're gonna trade on $50,000 of experience here. We're gonna ride the coattails of Calvinomics, right? So get ready, kids. Buckle up, because Calvin's gonna make the call on this. This should be fun. Let's sit back and watch. Hopefully he answers my question of where he got in, where's this take profit, where's the stop, and how is he going to add to this position? He should add now, right? This is the other kind of problem with trading is, well, why don't I add now? If I add when it goes lower, then I could be kind of getting trapped. If I add when it's cheaper, like if I'm a seller, why would I add when it goes lower? How do you add? You add when it goes up. Well, if it goes up, then it's going against his 5-unit position, or he's short 5. Trading is very difficult. If you're trying to be a scalper and a swing trader, it's very difficult. So you have to have that scalp script that's calibrated for a certain size. Then you have your swing scripts, and you're trading all this stuff in concert. You have a bunch of orders out there. You have tons of orders out there for different reasons. It only makes sense. I'll be trading this count like this. I'll be trading these 6 pairs next week, and I may even open a new demo so I can have a starting 0 point, because I honestly don't care what people say about my demo. I'm trying to help people that cannot babysit these charts think about entries that are, you can place orders and you don't have to be there. In the 4-hour world, had you martingaled up right here with limits, you are up on that trade. All these traps, this one you did not get filled, but if you bought the fall below close, you're up on that trade. If you bought the fall below close, you're in, right? If your stops are here, then you're going to get stopped out. If you're selling this and your stop's here, you would get stopped out. But don't you want to have your sell limit up here where the Goober retail guys got? This is where Stapleton has his stop. Don't you want to buy a stop off him? When this falls through the hole here, don't you want to buy this plunge into the void? Top become a bottom? Don't you want that trade? This is a 4-hour chart. Very simple. If this thing engulfs this, goes here, do you think that the dollar yen could possibly... Anybody seen markets play catch up with each other? This guy responds. And you see a wave. As the yen gets clobbered across the globe, it's domino theory. The yen's getting clobbered against this. If you traded just this shit here on this screen, right? You're a yen trader. It's all you do is trade yen on this one account, right? You would dedicate one broker's one account, and all you trade is swing trade hand placed drops on here. You cannot blow up this account. You write down every trade you placed and do the math. And you tally your risk every day. You want to keep a journal? How about a risk journal? Right? You tally every open position you have, or every pending possible fill. I'll place orders in here that last all day long because I don't want to babysit this show, I'll tell you right now. And I'm not going to be scalping this anymore. I'm going to swing trade this account. Or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to trade this fucking thing from a very much a broad view, and I'm going to use very broad entries. I'm not going to buy in a dense pack of 10. This is not a scalping. I had this one scalp here left over. So either delete that or start a fresh demo. And I want to stick to a certain either double-click script. I would actually like to run a random, I say random, but just a fixed pip grid. And I look at the chart and I say, you know what? Let's throw 8-hour or 12-hour orders in here that buy every 20 pips with a master stop of 100. And I'm not saying I will not take profits when profits are need to be taken. That's the only discretion I would have. I'm not going to let the whole plan play out, because the point of this is if you're at your day job or you're out renting a hooker, you need to have those orders in. You cannot babysit these fucking charts if you're that guy. Apparently, Kelvin's a very busy guy. So this is for Kelvin, too, if he wants to play along. So I don't have any, I don't hate him like he hates me. I think it's the best learning experience I think I've ever had as a newbie. Know-it-alls are the best people to learn from. So if somebody can inform me, I'm here to learn. I'm always studying stuff on YouTube. I may sound like an arrogant fuck, but it's only because I got a bunch of info I want to tell people that I've learned and just spill it out before I die. So I just leave behind all my videos on YouTube of me just, just thinking out loud. God forbid, right? God for without a filter. So look at these things, right? 4-hour view. I got to refresh this to bring in so we're looking at 100 pip, 50 pip targets. We're going to write that into the script. We're going to write elaborate trade plans. It's going to be pure double click because I really don't want to fuck around with thinking about these trades either. I already know what 50 pips looks like because I can see a 100 pip grid. And we're going to throw those in, and as the market moves, another thing he doesn't understand is that the orders can last anywhere from, I can set them for 4, 8, 6, 12. I can run 4, 8, 6, 12 orders. I think I'll run because I want to come back and keep hitting the fucking keys, right? So I can hit all these charts, and each in the 12-hour script will be a different price than the 8 and the 4 and the 6. So I'll be running 4 limit orders in. I can even put in, so it's stereo. I can have, when you hit that key, it throws in its uniform limit grids above and below the market. So it literally would be, or are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the direction? So I can have separate keys. I can mirror out 4 scripts, elaborate scripts, build them this weekend. And what I can do is I can say, you know what, I think I'm going to sell that because this guy looks like it's going up in here. So sell limits on here and maybe buy limits on here. Now that's, you know, and I could say, you know, I'm just going to hit them all. But you have the flexibility. If you don't combine all these scripts in one key, like a buy and sell strategy, that's just for proving to yourself. If you did that, it's just to prove to yourself that, and maybe that lasts for an hour, to prove to yourself that, hey, you know what? Just throwing orders out there works, because you don't want to, like I said, the point of this thing is not to, if you're scalping on your scalping account, say you're on the euro dollar and you've got all these yen pairs on another broker and you're putting in these orders, right? Now you're scalping here. Meanwhile, this thing's churning away and it's filling all these pendings next week, right? All next week we should be able to pick up some good trades next week on this thing. We have access to us the 4-hour chart, the daily chart. We can go to the dailies on everybody. I mean, if you're standing in front of this thing, the Australian yen, trying to short it, good luck, right? Look at this thing screaming. Off the charts, literally. Not off the charts on the daily, off the charts. On the weekly, not quite, right? It really depends how you frame the market. And once again, here I'll be placing buy limit grids all next week for 1 day, 12 hours, and 8 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever have you, right? This is the buy pool. This is the whatever supply demand, whatever you want to call it. This is the turtle soup, right? This is the crop block entry. In a more precision manner, right here would be a precise entry level. Last known top. Last known top, we just bought the last known top. Trend traders bought the last known top. It's in an uptrend, right? Can we agree it's in an uptrend? Swing traders think it's going to 110 and 102. They'll be adding along the way, those guys. This thing, I hate to chase and stuff, but man, this thing is, wow. Oof. Literally, you just have to buy here, 50 pips deep. We're at the 50-yard line. You have to buy here and here next week and get picked up on some stuff, and you have to wait for that to play out. And once it busts through this, into this vacuum above us, Katie bar the door, right? Katie bar the fucking door. Look at this. The targets for the swing traders are going to be right up here. Seen it a million times, right? We've all seen this setup. People are going to be selling into this. Good luck. So that's my view. Let's see what happens. And if you're trying to sell into that and your butt hurt because you're getting crushed, here's the 1 hour. Obviously, look at the respect for the round number. You just go down to the 15-minute chart and you try to, like here's a 15-minute slam down. Now this is if you're babysitting, right? You got this wonderful trade here. Look at the 1 hour. You really have to be, your buy limit has to be here, or your buy limits start here. I just don't know who's getting in on one price. Who are these people? Who are these people? It's going to be from here to here. It's going to be your entry zone, right? This whole area here, and beyond down there. And these would be scalp orientated here because you're going to do this. This is a pure auction here on the guppy on Friday. Come down, smash out, rip up, engulf. You're going to have to put I'm going to have to put a buy limit right here. This is last known top bottom. The market's telling you where to put your orders, right there. From here all the way down, and I'm going to have layered. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw everything in the kitchen sink in here. I'm going to put in the 1, 2, 3, 4 are going to be shallow, close to the markets. When we get to 6, 8, 12 dailies, those will become deeper, and I'll write deeper orders. I'm going to write the buy side first. It's very hard to write the sell side scripts. Now, if you can find a better way to get it in the market at one exact price, I just can't wait to see this guy's demo statement. Or let's see his real accounts, right? Because it's $50,000 for his course. I don't know if there's any tax included. A lot of people are selling those courses for $49,000. And he's got 2 years of knowledge, so you're paying $25,000 a year he wants to make per person on his knowledge. So, from the desk of Calvin, buckle up because you're selling the yen. Selling the dollar against the yen. Hold on. And I think you're going to need I'd say he has to have a stop. Where's the stop? Right above here. Right, there's his stop. So let's see what he says when we get up to here. I can't wait.